I am Myra Johnson, a 28-year-old woman living in New Haven, Connecticut. By day, I am an ordinary person who works as a graphic designer for a small marketing firm, and by night, I am an agent of change and a secret warrior of words. My life has always been structured, organized, and logical, each day blending into the next, predictable and routine. I take pride in my meticulous nature and my ability to craft visual narratives. Yet, despite my ability to create visual beauty surrounding my work, I had begun to feel trapped within the narrow walls of my life. However, everything shifted drastically one day in October of 2023 when I learned about the events in Gaza. The reports were harrowing, the images brutal. It struck a chord deep within me, igniting a fire that had been lying dormant for far too long. I found myself grappling with a powerful sense of injustice and rage. It was not merely the violence of that one day that shocked me, though I could not shake the numbers. 7,000 rockets launched, lives lost, lives shattered. I felt the weight of these events, knowing that I was powerless to stop the ongoing conflict. My heart ached for the innocent lives impacted by unending violence and suffering, but what could I do? In my turmoil, I also felt a spark of determination to fight back against the hate and rhetoric that seemed to perpetuate this cycle of violence. My dissatisfaction with the way things were only deepened. I began to feel like I had a nemesis, one that thrived on division and conflict, and I was fueled by a need for revenge, not in the traditional sense of violence, but through the power of words. My weapon became the keyboard. My battlefield was Reddit, the forum where people unlocked their thoughts, unfiltered, raw, and unafraid to confront each other over divisive matters. Realizing that I needed to push back, I went on a mission to write the equivalent of 7,000 word rockets, launching them back toward Gaza in the form of detailed posts. I began my campaign on a sub dedicated to the Israel-Palestine conflict. As an outsider, I was determined to make my voice heard, but nothing could have prepared me for the hostility that met me there. I faced immediate backlash, and I was banned almost as quickly as I had arrived. It stung. I understood that I had just been another voice echoing against a deafening wall, but it turned my resolve even fiercer. I thought I could shake things up, but I quickly found myself wandering in the vast and tumultuous online landscape. Instead of giving up, I decided to take a different path. I went underground, creating a second account, one that would allow me to infiltrate the spaces where I could learn more about the opposing perspectives. I crafted an identity that would not raise any red flags. I chose an Arabic name, honoring a long-lost hero, a remarkable Egyptian alchemist from history. I even adopted a profile picture adorned with a Pakistani flag. Its vibrant colors evoked memories of my environmental project. With my new persona in place, I entered every Islamic subreddit, immersing myself in conversations, arguments, and histories I had previously only skimmed in textbooks. My passion for understanding overpowered any sense of fear, and I began to absorb everything like a sponge. I dove deep into the historical narratives, listening to the stories of struggles and triumphs, and began to see the humanity within the different viewpoints. The more I learned, the more I could engage, and my ability to craft my own narrative strengthened. I argued, I debated, I became part of the community, and I slowly began to build rapport with those I interacted with. I read the Quran, analyzed hadiths, examined the battles fought throughout history, and explored the eschatological perspectives that shape the beliefs of many. It was an intellectual journey that transformed me. I founded my own subreddit to bridge connections between different narratives, hoping to reach those who felt trapped in a cycle of hate just like I had been. But, as the adage goes, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. My efforts came crashing down when my account, filled with the hopes of peace, was ultimately suspended. Everything felt pointless. I had dug deep into the trenches only for my progress to be lost. I lamented my lack of foresight, the way my well-meaning actions landed me right back where I began, in the depths of despair. However, despair would not control me. Instead of folding, I gathered all that I had learned. I transformed my collective understanding into more potent word rockets. My posts became a rallying cry filled with facts, personal stories, and arguments. I advocated for a narrative that sought reconciliation instead of division. I wrote with a ferocity that encapsulated my rage and determination, viewing each phrase as a missile aimed at misunderstandings and stereotypes that divided us. Each time I launched a post, it felt like a step toward reformation. I believed with each word that I could become an agent of change. Days turned to weeks as I gathered momentum, but life in the online battleground grows more complex with every engagement. I encountered trolls, unfounded criticisms, and people dismissing my efforts without consideration. It ate away at my resolve, making the challenge considerably weightier than I had ever anticipated. The narrative grew hostile, and I found myself embroiled in heated discussions that often turned ugly and derisive. The situation escalated, and before long, I realized that I had lost myself in this virtual war. The pursuit of revenge through advocacy and understanding transformed me in ways I could not have anticipated. The pursuit of acknowledgement had morphed into an all-consuming beast. My mental health started to deteriorate, and I became isolated from myself and from my past life. For a time, I felt as if I were losing sight of my original mission. Instead of cultivating peace, I seemed to stoke discord everywhere I turned. I found myself doubting whether I could truly make a difference. My heart was overwhelmed with despair, questioning the purpose of my 7,000-word rockets, each ably crafted to build bridges, but seemingly only reinforcing walls. The deeper I dug, the more entrenched I became, but with every moment of doubt, something flickered within me, a quiet yet fierce determination underlying thoughts. A defining moment arrived when I was confronted in a public Reddit thread. I faced attack after attack from individuals I once considered allies, their misdirected anger cutting deep. I felt like I had betrayed their trust with my insistence that there could be a dialogue. In that moment, I understood that the conflict was not just about arguments and statistics. It was about deeply held beliefs, emotions, and experiences that shaped identities. It struck me more profoundly than anything before, and I realized that if I was to reach my goal, I would need to shift my strategy yet again. I had to risk everything and confront what was fundamentally keeping everyone divided. So, I prepared for my final attempt with a clarity that felt like a rebirth. I planned a meticulous campaign to launch a detailed post that would address not only the conflict of ideas, but the very essence of what fueled animosity. I sought to gather stories from individuals who could speak authentically about their experiences. I needed voices that transcended politics, narratives that told raw human experiences, those who had been impacted deeply both by the conflict and by the misunderstanding of it. I organized my material, creating a mosaic of voices that would tell the tale of what we shared as human beings. On the day I published my post, I knew I was risking a backlash like never before. The words flowed through me, an amalgamation of pain, love, loss, hope, and healing. I bared my own vulnerabilities, admitting my fears, my failures, and my beliefs and calling for understanding. At its core, I extended an invitation to my audience to leave behind hate and embrace empathy. I published it at the forefront of each community I had previously fought, embracing the very community that had at times attacked me. The reactions flowed in. I braced myself for the storm, but instead, I found hundreds of voices echoing my sentiments back. Individuals reached out, thanking me for trying to create something different. For the first time, dialogue emerged, discussions thrived, and old narratives dissipated surrounding the ripple of new understanding. My heart soared as a sense of fulfillment washed over me. Understanding flourished where only division had previously existed, and it was the greatest victory I had ever achieved. I had managed to find commonality amid chaos, turning my campaign of revenge through words into a movement for peace. I learned that, while my 7,000-word rockets had originally served as revenge against ignorance and hatred, they ultimately became vehicles that spread understanding and love. Humanity emerged as my greatest ally, and that was the poetry hidden within my journey. Today, as I look back at the girl who felt trapped within the confines of her daily life, I see transformation fueled by raw determination. My efforts have shaped a new narrative where I venture forth, armed not with bitterness, but with the capabilities to foster understanding. I found my place in this chaotic digital world, not as a warrior against the tumult, but as an advocate for change. And it is through this journey that I have realized, sometimes, the greatest act of revenge is not what you do to your enemy, but what you learn to do to unite us all.